So as I'm doing this video, ABC Family is running both Batman and Batman Returns back-to-back on their channel. So if you haven't seen those movies, you might want to go watch them, whatever. And I find it really funny that they're doing this just literally a week right before Batman Arkham Origins. I mean, it's probably the whole reason why they're doing it. So if you're really excited about Batman Arkham Origins, definitely go check out those movies because they are great Batman movies. You probably should do something Batman related to get ready for Batman Arkham Origins. So with that out of the way, let's get to my video. So this year for October is Bat Month, a made-up month where I talk about a lot of things Batman related and preparation for a new Batman release. But October to everybody else in the world is, well, Halloween, where people celebrate everything that's scary, at least to them. But this year, I wanted to find at least one Batman item that was both Batman-oriented and Halloween-oriented. And unsurprisingly, there wasn't really a whole lot. But then again, I always was finding one, and I did come up with one thing that was both Halloween-oriented and Batman-oriented, which is the Batman vs. Dracula. And seeing as how this is a kind of Halloween-related video, I took some special precautions to make this especially Halloween-y. You'll see what I mean. Just give me a minute. Let's start. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Let's actually start. This year, I will be reviewing for Bat Month, as well as Halloween, The Batman vs. Dracula. The Batman vs. Dracula was an animated movie that came out, I believe, in 2005. I think it went straight to DVD also, or aired on TV, and then it came out on DVD. Not entirely sure. All I know is it's on DVD now. But it came out in 2005 and was part of the Batman animated series at that time, The Batman. Now, from what I had said in previous videos about The Batman, I haven't seen it in very recent years. But from what I remember about it, it wasn't horrible. It was a fair attempt at a new iteration or a new Batman cartoon, especially after Batman the Animated Series. But one of the things that was kind of disappointing about it was that it wasn't, very mature. And it was very, very kiddie, very, very cartoony, and very, very, silly. It was really just there to sell a bunch of toys. And definitely showed that it wasn't really made for, like mature. It wasn't made, very maturely. It was really just there just for kids. It wasn't a family show. It was just for kids. And that was really about that. But I liked it watching it as it went on. That's the reason why I kind of have a soft spot for it in my heart, because it was the Batman cartoon that I watched, growing up. It was a Batman show that I was first introduced to. But then I saw Batman the Animated Series and learned of that show, and I was like, holy crap, why didn't I grow up watching this? So The Batman, I do have a soft spot in my heart because, well, it's a Batman show that I grew up with the most, and the Batman show that I watched the most as a kid. But I don't think, it really has gotten great with age. And I don't even think it was really great at the time that it was, airing. It was alright. It was a fair attempt at a Batman show, but definitely not the greatest iteration of Batman. But then again, definitely not the worst iteration of Batman. Then I have to go to Joel Schumacher. But one of the complaints I have about the show, which is in this movie, well, two complaints actually. One is that Batman looked like Jackie Chan. And that's something that Captain Logan talked about when he reviewed this movie, which is the fact that Batman does look like Jackie Chan. And yeah, he does actually look like Jackie Chan. Well, not Batman, but Bruce Wayne. I mean, Batman looks fine. He looks like how Batman should look in a Batman cartoon. But Bruce Wayne himself looks like Jackie Chan. And that looks really, really odd and just very, very strange. And it's probably because one of the directors of this movie, as well as the cartoon, actually did work on the Jackie Chan cartoon, Jackie Chan Adventures. Yeah, remember that show? Of course you do. But yeah, that was one of the things I never really liked about the cartoon. Batman looked like Jackie Chan, which I guess kind of makes sense. I mean, Batman does know a lot of kung fu and karate moves, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. But it was just odd, and I really didn't like that. Also, another complaint that I had about the show that I kind of have here is that the Penguin was used way too often. I mean, I like the look of the Penguin. I think he looks like how the Penguin should look. And I definitely love Tom Kenny's voice as the Penguin. I think his voice just fits the Penguin perfectly. But he was used way too often in the cartoon. And I feel as if he was really just here, just in the movie, just to be in the movie. Because, hey, he's a big Batman villain, so let's just throw him in there. And that's something I really didn't like in the cartoon. I didn't like in the movie. But there actually is kind of a reason why the Penguin is in this. I mean, Dracula hypnotizes him and makes him into his undead, or makes him into his human sentinel, so that he can, bring him out into the city, and so that he can, guard, Dracula's grave during the day when Dracula is, restoring energy and sleeping. And the reason why he's kind of in this is because he's kind of the Igor character, which for the Penguin, fits the Penguin perfectly, because, let's face it, the Penguin pretty much looks like Igor. He's short, he, slouches over, he, has, like, a really, weird voice, and he looks like an Igor. So it does kind of make sense why he would be in this movie. So I really don't mind it all that much, but when you think about it logically, and when you think about story-wise, the Penguin's, Dracula's Sentinel could have been anybody. You can really just, plug in and take out, certain villains or characters in general. It could have been anybody. It didn't have to be the Penguin. It could have been anybody. And the Penguin, for that reason alone, is kind of a pointless character in this. I mean, it's nice to see the Penguin, I guess, but, he's kind of just a pointless character in this, and I really didn't, like it all that much. Some other stuff I didn't like about this, let's see. Another thing that I really don't like about this movie is that Dracula just so happens to be in Gotham, and they actually do give a well explanation, like an actually really good explanation for why he is in Gotham. Because after the people of Transylvania killed Dracula, seemingly killed Dracula, they had sent his body away to, be buried somewhere else. And that place just so happened to be Gotham. I mean, the reason why he does end up in Gotham, or would be somewhere else besides Transylvania, makes sense. But for why he's in Gotham is way too big of a coincidence. I mean, he just so happens to be sent to another place where there just so happens to be another bat creature, so to speak, that only appears in the night. I mean, it's way too much of a big coincidence. I mean, yeah, I really didn't like that about this movie. Another thing I also didn't like about this movie is that's about it. Yeah, it's really, the only things I really didn't like a whole lot about this movie. That was way too much of a big coincidence. And also, Batman makes the formula or the vaccine to get rid of vampirism way too fast. Like, only in, like, a couple days, like 4 days, which, I guess makes sense. I mean, he's Batman, he does know a lot of formulas and stuff, but wouldn't it take, like, a little bit longer? I didn't really like that all that much. But those are just some of the minor complaints I had about this movie. It really covers it about complaints. So let's get to some of the stuff that I actually did like about this movie. Yes, I actually did like some of the stuff in this movie. As I mentioned before, the tone is very, very mature and takes itself very, very seriously. I think I mentioned it before. But surprisingly, the movie actually does take itself very, very seriously, very, very maturely. And one of those examples of how it takes itself very, very maturely is the symbolism of Batman or Bruce Wayne living in Dracula's shadow. And there's very, symbolic metaphors that are thrown out throughout this movie, that showcase that. One example of that is when Batman is on a rooftop looking for Dracula, and Dracula's right behind him, and encompasses both Batman and Batman's shadow in, his shadow, which I really like those, nice little touches. I mean, throughout the whole movie, people are comparing Batman to Dracula. And that's really when Dracula is taking certain people in Gotham, certain random civilians, and turning them into his army of the undead. And people are immediately assuming that this is Batman because people are saying a bat creature, was seen taking these certain people with them. And people immediately say that it's Batman. Which I also thought was a nice little nod to Batman Mask of the Phantasm when people said that, in Mask of the Phantasm, people thought that the Phantasm was Batman and that the Phantasm was killing people when it was really not Batman, it was a Phantasm. I really do like that. And there's also a nice other little nod to Batman Year One when the SWAT team chases Batman into a building, and Batman sort of has to pick each one of them off in his own, special little way. That was really cool. Those are, two little nice nods to Batman, other Batman materials that I really do enjoy. But not only that, but there are some nods to Dracula as well. There's, not only is Batman get, nice little nods to, his previous incarnations, but Dracula also has some nice, little nods to his previous incarnations and some other stuff that he was featured in. Like Son of Dracula. In Son of Dracula, the name Dracula is actually spelled backwards to make a new name titled Alucard. And Alucard is one of the names that Dracula does use, well, the civilian name that Dracula does use in this when he goes to a Wayne Enterprises party at Wayne Manor. That's really nice. And also the classic Dracula or vampire stuff is in this. Like, you can't see them in you can't see them in mirrors, or you can't see their reflections. The wooden stake through their heart can kill them, garlic, all that stuff. For once, I've seen a material that has vampires that don't sparkle. Yes, they do not sparkle, Stephanie Myers. Fuck you. They don't sparkle. You can't see them when you look at them in a mirror. They just don't sparkle. So, stop it. Well, it has stopped, but, it's done. These are real vampires. This is real Dracula. These are real vampires. They don't cry. They don't sparkle. They're real vampires. So, this movie did that right. Dracula's actually Dracula, and there are a bunch of other stuff that Dracula does do that all vampires should do. Like I said, the whole Alucard thing, and, a bunch of other stuff. So, that is really awesome about this movie. And I also like the whole symbolism of Batman living in Dracula's shadow. Also because it gives the character a way to fight the main villain both mentally and physically. I really did like that. It was just something to sort of keep Bruce Wayne thinking, and also something to keep Bruce Wayne, fighting Dracula for, to, not live in his shadow anymore. I really liked that. I thought that was really, really cool. And it was sort of the ultimate fight to see which one was the real, Batman, so to speak. I liked that. I liked, again, it was a way that the movie, took itself very maturely and very, very seriously. I like that a lot. And that about covers it for stuff that I liked about the movie and disliked about the movie. A very short review, but that's really about it. I liked that it was darker than the actual show itself. I like the symbolism with Bruce Wayne living in, Dracula's shadow. It was a good movie. I thought it was, decent. Is it as good as, other Batman straight-to-DVD animated movies, like, say, Mask of the Phantasm or Under the Red Hood? Definitely not. It really isn't, good or, as great as those. It's not at all as good as those. But it is a decent Batman movie, animated movie at least. And again, for, something that came out of The Batman, it was decent. It was fair and it was fine. Now, the funny thing about this movie in particular is that this was not the very first attempt at a Batman versus Dracula movie. Yeah, believe it or not, there was not only one, but two other attempts at a Batman versus Dracula film. And the other previous two attempts before this were live-action films. One was one titled Batman Dracula, or Batman/Dracula, or Batman and Dracula, whatever. The title was Batman Dracula. And the movie would have been done by Andy Warhol, which then probably would have been really surreal given some of Andy Warhol's artwork. And another one was a Filipino film titled Batman Fights Dracula. Which I believe both these were considered to be lost films, but now certain, little clips from the movies have popped up over the internet. I will try putting a link in the description to those said clips. Another little, piece of fun fact, another little piece of trivia for you is that there was actually going to be a sequel to this titled Batman vs. Hush. It wasn't really going to be a sequel, but there was going to be another animated Batman film based off of the Batman animated series, which would have been Batman vs. Hush. And for some reason or another, that never came to be, and they just scrapped that film entirely. Again, for, unknown reasons. I really don't know why. But another little piece of trivia for you is that in the Batman animated series, there was this episode where this one villain who was made up purely for the show is taking, villains in Batman's rogues gallery and sort of collecting them and keeping them caged and imprisoned. That villain is actually supposed to be Hush, so maybe the movie was condensed into a smaller episode, and, which was that episode I just spoke of. Maybe they just decided to not go with Hush at the last minute. I don't know, but I've heard many times before that was supposed to be Hush, so maybe that's what happened to the movie, I don't know. But, that about does it for The Batman vs. Dracula. For the most part, I thought it was alright. I'm gonna give it like a 6.5 out of 10, and a very low rating because, the animation is alright. There are a lot of other, plot holes that I didn't even cover in this. Again, like Dracula being brought to Gotham was a little bit too much of a coincidence, and, Batman looked like Jackie Chan, that really bothered, Bruce Wayne looked like Jackie Chan, really bothers me. And, I don't really think that this movie, with the whole, Bruce Wayne, being encompassed by, Dracula's shadow, him living in Dracula's shadow, I don't think was developed as much as it could have been. It was sort of just put on the back burner, and it really wasn't, given full focus. I think if the movie were longer, or, or given a little bit, like one more draft, like one more, script that could have been written, they could have maybe focused on that just a little bit more. And, that's something that I really didn't like in this movie. But one thing I actually did like about this movie that I didn't write in my notes, just something that I'm remembering now, is I like that, something that a lot of people don't know about Batman is that Batman is afraid of bats. And that's why he takes on the image of a bat, so that he can, Christian Bale says in Batman Begins, share his grief with others and to, take his fear and use it on, and use his fear and make other people afraid of it. And I like that he has to fight Dracula, the ruler of bats, and, as Batman. I like that. He's afraid of bats, and he dresses up like a bat, and, to make others fearful, and now he has to fight the ruler of the bats. I really do like that, nice little symbolism. Like, he's finally now, completely conquered his fear, and has become, the Batman. And I really do like that. That also is another thing I really like about this movie, which is the scene at the end, and it really isn't that big of a spoiler alert, where Batman actually does, in fact, defeat Dracula, and Dracula goes and says, "You're Bruce Wayne," which is kind of weird, like, he just then figured that out. I mean, not that it was obvious before, but, like, how did he know that at that time? That was, like, how did he just figure that out just then? I don't know, that was really weird. It seemed like a big excuse just to get Batman to say, no, I'm the Batman. Which Batman does actually say. It's one of the biggest badass moments in the entire movie. Scratch that. It is the biggest, most badass moment in the entire movie. Dracula says, "You're Bruce Wayne," and then Batman says, "No." And he raises up his cape, brings it back down, and he just says, "I'm the Batman." And it's just awesome. And then he swoops, up towards Dracula and then just crushes him and just turns him into dust. Which some people may complain that, oh, Batman kills in this movie. He kills Dracula. But really, he doesn't. Dracula's immortal, and he can be brought back at any other time. And really, what else would he have done? It's not like the Joker where he can just, lock him up in Arkham or whatever. He can escape, So him having to destroy Dracula or, in a way kill him, didn't think it was that big of a deal. I don't think it was, Batman crossing that line. It's the same reason why I don't mind Superman killing Zod in Man of Steel. I mean, like, he couldn't have locked him up in jail. He had to get rid of him that way. So, not that big of a deal. And I really didn't mind Batman having to get rid of Dracula in that certain way. So, it's a big deal. But that about does it for my review of the Batman vs. Dracula. Hope you enjoyed this review. But, I'll give the movie a 6.5 out of 10 Batarangs. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great either. It just sort of meets in the middle. It was good. But the stuff that is in it is very, very good. I just think that it could have been, the whole symbolic nature of Batman living in the shadows of Dracula and coming to grips, is he, very similar to Dracula? Is he very, different to Dracula? Could have been, developed a little bit more than it was in here. But for the most part, I liked the movie. I thought it was alright. And that about does it for my special Halloween episode of, my videos and my special Halloween episode of Bat Month this year. I really want to try doing at least one more Halloween video by the end of this month, but I'm not sure if that, will happen. If you want me to, then definitely, let me know. Also, if you really want me to do another Halloween-related video, let me know what you would want me to review for Halloween once I'm done, with Bat Month. So, that about does it for my review of the Batman vs. Dracula. Again, hope you enjoyed it, and next week is Batman Arkham Origins. Yeah, we are literally, right now, as I'm sitting here, standing here, sorry, can't tell the difference between sitting and standing. But right here, right now, as I'm standing, we are literally 1 week away from Batman Arkham Origins. I mean, it's like 7 months ago, we were 7 months away from Batman Arkham Origins. That was really stupid, but it seems like so long ago, we were so, far away from Batman Arkham Origins, and now we are literally just 7 days away. Less than 7 days. It's like 6.5, 6 and a couple hours, whatever. We are pretty much a week away from Batman Arkham Origins. That's insane. Now, that review let me rephrase this. My review of Batman Arkham Origins will come out depending on when I actually beat the game. So I won't have the review out, on October 25th. I'm not sure I'll have it out on October 26th. You know, who knows? Maybe if I don't leave my room and, you know, I just play the game constantly, I'll beat it and I'll have a review out for you by October 26th. I don't know. But if the review comes out like towards the very end of October or even in November, that's just because I'm trying to beat the game. But I have to beat the whole game to let you guys, give you guys a fair review. So, if the review comes out late, I apologize. It's just that I gotta beat the game and I gotta get my thoughts down. So there's that. So next week, I'll be back, hopefully next week, if not the week after or a couple days after, whatever. I'll have my review of Batman Arkham Origins for you guys. And hopefully it'll be a good game. I want it to just be good. So with that said, that's about it. And next week I'll be back with my review of Batman Arkham Origins. So until next time, same movies time, same rule channel. I'll see you guys then on Batmonth Forever.